From New York, where the American stage begins, NBC presents Best Plays, transcribed with John Chapman. Best Plays, a series of hour-length dramas selected from the outstanding successes of the New York stage. Now, John Chapman, editor of the theatrical yearbook Best Plays and drama critic of the New York Daily News, is here to introduce Van Johnson and Nina Foch in John Loves Mary. Mr. Chapman.
Good evening. If any of you listeners out beyond this studio wish you could write a nice big hit for the stage, I can tell you how to start it, but not how to finish it. You make up your mind that some boy is crazy over some girl, because this kind of thing seems to be happening all over the place and all the time. What are you going to name this hero and heroine? Play safe and name them something simple and familiar. John, my own name, is easy and was one of the most popular of all until I became a drama critic. And for the girl, what better name could there be than Mary? Back in 1931, for instance, George S. Kaufman and Maury Riskind were writing a musical about national politics, in which their presidential candidate would be running on a platform of love. The songwriters for the show, George and Ira Gershwin, wrote a campaign song titled Love is Sweeping the Country. And what did Kaufman and Riskind name their affectionate couple? John and Mary, of course. John P. Wintergreen and Mary Turner. The musical was the grand and memorable of Thee I Sing. 15 years later, a young playwright, Norman Krasna by name, felt a play coming on. It was to be about some boy being crazy over some girl, and vice versa, of course. He didn't hesitate a moment over what to name them. They were John and Mary, obviously. The next problem was what to call the play. But that was no problem at all. Just call it John Loves Mary, and you've got a hit. And so it is that Mr. Krasna's John Loves Mary is our best play for this evening. All the author had to do, after he decided on the names and the title, was to think of something funny enough in the way of events and situations to keep an audience laughing. Unhappily, there is no formula covering humor. You have to think it up yourself, as Krasna did, so very successfully. This evening, our Mary is Nina Foch, who created the role on Broadway. Our John is one of the great favorites in the movies, Van Johnson. Our play begins in the New York hotel apartment of a U.S. senator named James McKinley, father of Mary.
Once upon a time, on a Monday afternoon to be exact, soon after World War II, in an apartment in New York's St. Regis Hotel, an extremely pretty girl named Mary McKinley walked from her bedroom into the living room and picked up the telephone.
Betty, would you get me the Pennsylvania station, please? Thank you. May I have information, please? Hello, information? Could you tell me if the 3 o'clock train from Norfolk, Virginia is on time? It is? Thank you. Hello, Betty? Betty, this is Mary McKinley. Will you be on the switchboard all afternoon? Oh, good. I'd like not to accept any calls the rest of the day. From anyone. John's train just got into Penn Station. Yes, he should be here any minute. Oh, there he is. Bye. Come in.
Hello?
Oh, who are you?
I was asked to come here.
Who asked you?
Jack Lawrence.
Jack. Oh, my name is Mary McKinley. How do you do?
I know your name. He's mentioned it often enough. I'm Fred Taylor. Jack and I were in the same company overseas, and I...
Fred Taylor. You're Fred Taylor.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Fred, thank you for John. Thank you very much.
Oh, I wouldn't put it that strong.
John wrote me all about it.
Well, he must have exaggerated.
No. You saved his life.
Oh, but wait.
You did. You saved his life.
Oh, it was nothing. He would have done the same for me.
You carried him in your arms like a baby for 200 yards with shells flying all around.
Well, mostly .30 caliber stuff, that's all.
I'm forever obligated to you.
You don't have to be. You know, I never knew people lived in hotels. I mean, regularly like this.
No, my family's lived here for 12 years.
A hotel to me is a place where you rent a room for a night, and you better have a bag. I mean a handbag.
Oh. Well, this is more convenient for my father. He has to be in Washington most of the year.
Your father's a congressman, isn't he?
He's a senator.
Oh, sure, yeah, I know the difference. We had it in school.
Fred, how'd you know John was coming here today?
He called me on the telephone.
How did he sound to you on the phone?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, I thought his voice was deeper than when he left.
Well, could be. He was a sergeant.
I'll bet he was the best sergeant in the whole United States Army. Was he a good sergeant, Fred?
The best. That bundle there is some clothes for Jack.
Huh?
He had his clothes at the Harvard Club, and I picked them up for him. Did you know they have a whole building just for fellows who went to Harvard?
Yes.
Jack never told me he went to Harvard. Oh, that's nothing against him. He's all right. You just never know he went to college.
That's nice.
Of course, if he wasn't a college man, the Army wouldn't have made him a specialist, and he'd have been home long ago. Shows you what a college education can do for you.
Isn't it the truth?
I brought him a gray suit. I figure that's the color furthest away from what he's been wearing. He'll be sure to be in a hurry to get out of uniform.
Well, that's only natural, weren't you?
Well, I changed into my civvies in the men's room of the Washington station.
Oh, Fred, that's got to be him.
You want I should go off somewhere?
Oh, no, of course not. Come in.
Mary.
Darling.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Darling, darling. Oh, darling. Where have you been?
I was away on a little business trip, honey.
Oh, what took you so long? 3 years, and you promised you'd be back in 20 minutes.
Well, I overestimated myself, kid. Hey, Fred. How are you, boy?
You old son of a gun. You look great.
Oh, I'm glad to see you, Fred. Why didn't you write?
Oh, I'm not much of a writer.
How are they treating you?
Can't complain.
I've never seen you in civilian clothes.
Well, there's yours over there. I picked out a gray suit.
Honey, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Ah, sure you would.
I was leaking like a sieve. They didn't know where I was hit.
We were both soaked. At the base hospital, they washed me off twice looking for where I was wounded.
Yeah, that was quite a time. Well, enough of that. We've got other things to talk about. Have a seat, everybody. Fred, what are you doing now?
Well, I got my old job back with the telephone company.
Do you ever see any of the other fellas?
Some of them. The ones that live in New York. Bennett's got a gas station on the Parkway, 3 pumps. Goodman's got a cigar store. His father retired and gave it to him.
What happened to Leary the Louse?
O'Leary?
Our lieutenant, honey.
Yes, I remember. He was the one you disliked.
Disliked? Oh, we took a solemn oath. No matter where he was, in what jail or insane asylum, we were going to track him down. Fred, where is he?
Still in uniform.
In uniform? He didn't manage to get out?
He's an usher at the Paramount.
No.
Yes.
Oh, now, isn't that nice? Orchestra or balcony?
Balcony.
Let's pay him a visit some night and push him into the orchestra.
Oh, John, you must tell me about your war experiences. Really, I'm very interested.
Fred, you tell.
No, not you.
All right, then. Tell me about the girls you met.
There were no girls in Europe.
Oh, I know better. I've seen them in the newsreels. Me like American soldier. Give me chewing gum.
Well, John never looked at a girl. I'll give you my word.
You saved his life once. You don't have to keep it up.
Mary, you've hit on an unfortunate subject. Many soldiers really fell in love overseas, and very often there were unhappy endings. Fred here was one of those cases.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Please forgive me.
Oh, that's all right.
Is it something you don't care to talk about?
Well, I was in love with an English girl, and we got separated, and I couldn't find her again.
How dreadful.
Yeah, I met her in a nightclub. She was an acrobatic dancer. She used to walk on her hands and do a little dance, kind of, and sing a song at the same time. It doesn't sound like much, but it was cute.
I'm sure it was.
I was there when he asked her to marry him during an air raid.
Did you get married?
Well, we would have, but there was a little complication. The next day was D-Day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 24 hours later, we were in France.
Well, couldn't you write to her?
Well, the only address I had was the nightclub. We heard it was blitzed.
Oh.
After VE Day, I got a leave and I went looking for her. And not a trace.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I took it pretty bad for a while. I drank a lot. Gave Jack a time here, I guess.
Oh, no.
I still think of her sometimes. Don't like to go to nightclubs anymore.
Say, wasn't there some talk around here about champagne a while ago?
Well, there wasn't, but there is champagne. Excuse me, I'll get it. Should be chilled by now.
Fred.
Yeah?
What are you thinking about?
Oh, lots of things.
Lily was quite a girl, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. But I wish you hadn't brought her up. I'll be in the dumps all day.
I saw her, you know.
You saw Lily?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
In England.
Well, how is she? Where'd you find her?
Little nightclub in London.
Did you talk to her? Did she ask about me?
All night long. When she wasn't crying.
What was she crying for?
I told her you'd looked for her and how you felt. She nearly had hysterics.
No kidding.
In the morning, we went to the embassy to find out how she could get to America.
Now, go on.
There was only one way Lily could get into America. Do you know how?
Huh?
As the wife of an American soldier.
No.
Fred, she's arriving day after tomorrow.
You married Lily?
You don't mind, do you?
Holy mackerel.
It's legal and it's foolproof. She gets off that boat, you and she take the first train to Reno.
Holy mackerel.
You said that.
Jack, I don't know what to say.
Don't you think I owe you that much?
Holy mackerel. What about Mary?
I'll tell her, and it'll be all right. Mary will wait 6 weeks.
Jack, I don't know what to say.
Well, here we are. What'd you two say about opening the champagne?
Not until Fred leaves. I'd like to be alone with my girl.
Oh, John, you're not chasing Fred out.
He wants to leave, don't you, Fred?
You stay right here, Fred. We're going to cheer you up.
Oh, he's cheered up already. Aren't you, Fred?
Holy mackerel.
I'll call you tomorrow morning, Fred, okay?
Sure, okay. Hey, goodbye, Mary. I'm glad to have met you.
I'm very happy to have met you, Fred.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, yeah. Good night.
Hello, baby.
Hello, darling.
What's new?
Nothing much.
Oh, honey. Hey, where is everybody?
Washington, Mother and Father.
They know I'm back?
Mother was asleep when you called, but she didn't wake up.
How did you get her to go back to Washington?
Well, I said Father hadn't been looking too well. Dad doesn't take care of himself when she's not around.
Really?
He eats the wrong things, and they disagree with him.
What fool would have enough nerve to disagree with your father? Hey, don't go away. I only put my arm around you.
No, this isn't exactly as I planned. I was going to be more standoffish.
Why?
But I read about it in a magazine. How to Resume Relations with a Soldier by Dr. W. Zucker. He said the woman should have some reserve. The man expects it.
Not this man.
Dr. Zucker said the normal man.
You caught a freak.
He said the reason we're supposed to be reserved is to show you the difference between us and those foreign girls who threw themselves at you.
Zucker's a German spy. The Germans used to drop leaflets from airplanes saying our girls are being untrue to us with 4 Fs. Were you untrue to me with a 4F?
You couldn't ask a man to show his draft card.
That's right, dear.
John.
Yes, dear?
You don't have to tell me anything you did overseas. I mean, with girls.
Oh?
I mean it.
All right, dear.
All right, what?
I won't tell you.
3 years is a long time. You were lonely. You had no one to talk to.
I wasn't lonely. There were 4 million guys with me.
If there was a girl, you wouldn't tell me. Would you?
Would you want me to?
No. Was there?
Just you.
John,
Yes, dear?
I want to see where you were wounded.
Oh, now, Mary.
Yes, I've made up my mind. If you could be shot, the least I can do is look.
It was nothing.
Where were you wounded? Let me see.
Well, if you really want to look, it's here on my chest. Just a second, these buttons.
I won't get sick, John. I prepared myself. Tell me when to look.
All right, now.
Is that all?
What do you mean, is that all? What'd you expect, to see through me?
But it's such a tiny hole.
That was a .38 caliber bullet.
But a little hole like that couldn't kill anybody.
Oh, no. Well, let me tell you something, young lady.
I don't want to talk about it. Are you happy now, John?
I don't know. What are you going to ask me?
What would you like to do specially?
I'd like to kiss you.
No. We ought to talk some. What'd you think about when you were overseas? About me.
You're asking for a funny answer.
I used to dream about us at Tony's.
Tony's. Antipasto, ravioli, chicken cacciatore. Do you know they don't know how to cook Italian food in Italy?
Tony always asks about you, and he always gives me our booth, no matter how crowded it is.
You want to go to Tony's?
We could have a drink or two.
And an early dinner.
Oh, what'll I do with the champagne?
Oh, put it in the icebox. We'll open it later. Say, I want to get into that suit Fred brought. This is it over here, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Where can I change?
Right here's all right.
Oh, honey.
Oh, I'll look out of the window, silly.
Well, all right. But don't turn around till I tell you. I want you to see the civilian all at once.
All right.
Goodbye, OD shirt. May we never meet again. Goodbye, OD trousers, and likewise to you.
John, I've been thinking about Fred and his English girl.
What about them?
Losing her like that, I feel sorry for him.
There's something I want to tell you about that, but not now. It isn't exactly the right time.
Can I turn around yet?
For Pete's sake, no. I can't find my gray trousers. What could Fred have done with them?
Father!
This is incredible.
Mary, I'm shocked beyond words.
And a mother, wait.
Young man, get out of here.
Sir, I was just showing Mary where I was wounded.
I understood it was your shoulder.
He was shot by a .38 caliber bullet, Dad. You can be killed by that.
I was in the First World War. We had bullets then.
I know this looks peculiar, sir, but I wouldn't like you to get the wrong impression. There was somebody with us until just a few minutes ago.
A friend of John's, the one who saved his life.
I presume he was dressed.
Dad, this is John. You haven't even said hello to him.
I didn't leave a committee room of the United States Senate at a time I'm urgently needed to say hello to John. Young man, I'll thank you to put on your trousers, if not out of courtesy to my daughter, to my wife.
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Mother, why didn't you tell me you intended to come right back to New York?
Your mother had no such intention. It was my idea.
I wasn't asleep, darling, when you spoke to John. And in the morning when you urged me so to go back to Washington, I didn't know what to do. I thought I'd leave it to your father.
You didn't leave anything to me. The way you were dawdling over your food, I knew you were concealing something. And when I accused you, you blurted it out.
I didn't blurt it out. I merely explained it.
I must say, Phyllis, I don't understand your behavior. Arranging, contriving to have your own daughter secluded with a strange young man.
There's nothing strange about John, Father. You've known him for years.
And I don't understand your behavior either. At least I hope I don't.
You're imagining things that simply aren't true, Father. That's all I can say.
Why didn't you tell your mother he was coming home? Answer that.
Frankly, I wanted some time alone with him.
Well, that's frank enough. What for, may I ask?
Because the last time you saw him, you struck him and knocked him down. That's why.
A father is supposed to strike anyone he finds with his daughter in a hotel room.
We explained that. I was only seeing him off to camp. It was his last day before leaving for overseas.
Why didn't you tell us where you were going?
Because I wasn't allowed to. Troop movements were a military secret.
I'm a member of the Military Affairs Committee. I know more important secrets than any enlisted man getting on a boat.
Senator McKinley, may I say something?
What? Oh, yes.
I understand your feelings, sir, as a father.
Thank you.
But I took it for granted that my intentions concerning your daughter were above suspicion.
Well, they're not.
We love each other, sir.
I believe you do. That is why I haven't knocked you down again. But that doesn't give me any hint of your intentions.
Intentions? Marriage, sir.
You don't have to marry me, John.
He hasn't asked you yet?
Mary, what are you saying?
You're a free agent. You do as you please. I've no call on you to marry me. Absolutely none.
Of course I'm going to marry you. Senator McKinley, I love your daughter very much. I believe she loves me. I have no greater wish in life than to make her happy. I would consider it a great honor and privilege if you would give your permission for our marriage. After a suitable engagement, of course.
Well, you have it.
Oh, John, that was beautiful. You surprised me.
You surprised me, too. Didn't you know I was going to marry you?
Until a girl is asked, she's never certain.
John, I've always liked you. I hope you'll be very happy.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. McKinley.
I have one thing to say. Son, I can call you son.
Oh, please do, sir.
I didn't want my daughter to marry you. I fought against it with all the ammunition I had. If I had any more ammunition, I'd have kept on fighting. But after you're married, that's something else. Bygones are bygones. I'll try to be like a father to you.
Thank you, sir.
If you apply for your marriage certificate and take your blood test tomorrow morning, you can be married on Saturday, and I can be back in Washington Sunday.
Blood test? Now?
Well, yes, why not?
I thought we'd be engaged a while.
Oh, we're engaged right now. We're going to be engaged for 3 whole days.
I thought a little longer, like 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
I never heard of a 3-day engagement. I thought 6 weeks was minimum.
Sure.
I mean, socially.
What's the matter, dear?
It's hot in here, isn't it?
I don't think so.
You're not used to being in this room with your clothes on.
Say, Dad.
Yeah, I guess I can make a joke as well as the next fellow.
Fellow was on the lock, so I just walked on in.
Oh, hello, Fred. Come in.
Oh, Mrs. McKinley, Senator McKinley, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine, Fred Taylor.
How do you do, Mr. Taylor?
How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
Fred, you're about to be a best man. John and I are being married Saturday.
Saturday. Holy mackerel.
Well, aren't you going to congratulate us?
Oh, you bet, yeah. Congratulations.
I'm glad you're here, Fred. Senator McKinley, there's something I'd like to tell you. And with Fred here, it's a little easier for me to tell.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Fred is my best friend. When I was wounded...
Is this the young man who saved your life?
Yes, he is.
We read all about it in your letter. Mary must have read it to us a dozen times.
At least, dear, I hope you don't mind.
Of course not.
That letter was also read on the floor of the United States Senate. I hope you don't mind.
Of course not.
So you don't have to explain this young man to us. Fred, you're a very brave young man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Say, if you folks don't mind, I wonder if I could use your telephone.
Why, certainly. Just tell the operator the number you want.
All right, thank you.
He's nice.
Hello, would you give me Butterfield 88599, please?
Senator McKinley, would you say I owed this man a great deal?
Yes, I'd say that. I think you're quite obligated to him.
That's it, sir. That's the word. I'm obligated to him. There's nothing I could do for him that would be too much. Nothing. That's what you're saying, sir?
Yes?
Hello, Lenox Hill Hospital? Maternity ward, please. Hey, is this a maternity ward? This is Mr. Taylor again. Any news about my wife? Thank you.
But did you say maternity ward?
You're not having a baby.
Fred, you're married.
And I'm having a baby.
Oh, no.
How wonderful. Oh, Fred, I'm so happy for you.
I don't believe it.
I'm so happy for you, Fred.
Oh.
You two certainly are excited over this baby.
Well, it isn't just the baby. Fred's married.
Oh, I should hope so.
Oh, you don't understand, Dad. He had a terribly tragic love affair, and he was able to forget. My, what a strong character you must have, Fred.
Character? You call that character? You were never going to forget Lily. You were going to remember her to your dying day.
Well, what'd you expect me to do, join a monastery?
Yes, you were so much in love with her. You couldn't live without her.
Well, it's all your fault, Jack. Don't you remember your advice? Life has to go on, you said. Well, I went on.
Well, it's settled. The ceremony will be in the mayor's office Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. The mayor had a transit commission meeting, but he was kind enough to postpone it. And there will be a small reception here after the wedding. Just close friends and the family.
We're only inviting relatives who live within a day of New York. I don't know what I'm going to say to the others.
Why do we get married in different cities, Mother, on a tour?
I must say I never thought I'd see my only child married off surreptitiously as though we're trying to avert a scandal.
Surreptitiously in the mayor's office?
Do you feel all right, John?
I feel fine. Really, I do.
Oh, he's not very talkative today. I think he's got buck fever. You can still back out, darling. Lots of people take out licenses and don't get married.
Well, might as well go ahead. We've spent the $2.
I did so much want a wedding with bridesmaids and organ music. And I expected to cry.
Oh, you cry, Mother dear.
It was not the same crying in the mayor's office.
Come in.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Fred.
Boy or girl?
Not yet. The doctor thinks it ought to be today, but he won't guarantee it.
Oh, that's how doctors are. Now, you sit down and conserve your strength.
Well, she feels fine, though. Smoking and everything. Did you get your marriage license, Jack?
Yep.
And you took your blood test?
Yep.
Guess you'll be married in 3 days, huh?
Yep.
Say, was there an officer here, an Army officer?
Why, no, I don't think so.
No.
Oh, that's funny. When I went to the Harvard Club, I thought I'd pick you up and go with you to the license bureau. Well, there was an officer there, a lieutenant.
What did he want?
He didn't say. He just asked for you. I gave him this address.
Who could he be, John?
I don't know. Probably one of the officers of our division worrying how I'm getting along.
Probably wants to know if he can do anything for you. Lend you money or something.
Why, how very nice of him.
I'm glad to hear you say that. We've had a great deal of talk in the Senate about enlisted men not having a high regard for their officers. I didn't believe it.
You didn't?
No, I was in the First World War, and I can tell you the enlisted men worshipped their officers.
What rank were you, sir?
I was a colonel. Now, would you say the enlisted men didn't respect and admire their officers in this war?
I'd say they had the same feelings toward them as they did in your day, sir. Exactly.
I'd like you to read my speech on that in the Senate. Incidentally, John, I'm sending you the congressional record as a wedding present.
Thank you.
I'm also giving you a wedding trip for a month. You and Mary can go wherever you like.
And read the congressional record.
Really, Mary. Don't you ever think of anything and then decide not to say it? You know, I think we can spend this time much more profitably checking your underthings. Come along into the bedroom.
All right, Mother. Goodbye, dear heart.
So long.
Dwell not on saying goodbye. It does not prolong the being together, only the parting.
How's the Senate, sir?
The Senate? What about it?
I mean the new laws and all.
Well, I'm glad you asked me. I'd like your opinion. Now, what do you men think of the Fishbeck patent bill?
Well, sir, having been away 3 years...
Oh, yes, of course. Would you care for a drink? A little early, but this is an occasion.
Oh, that'd be fine.
Splendid.
Can I give you a hand, sir?
Thank you, no.
Fred, I'm worried. I don't think we're doing the right thing.
Oh, Jack, we went over it for 2 hours last night.
I'd feel better about it if you were coming along. What am I going to do with Lily for 6 weeks?
She won't be any trouble, and you can make a vacation out of Reno. You can go horseback riding and fishing and lots of things.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Anyway, the important thing is for you to get out of town to stop being married on Saturday. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I sure hope Lieutenant Harris can do it.
Jack, I couldn't get Lieutenant Harris.
Well, who'd you get?
No, don't get panicky.
Who is it?
Well, under the circumstances, the man I got is ideal. We need someone who can lie, a born liar, who's had practice besides. He's a natural.
Who'd you get?
O'Leary.
O'Leary?
He can do it, Jack. I rehearsed it with him 10 times.
You stupid jerk. O'Leary couldn't do an about-face without falling on his kisser. He'll miss up the dictail, but good.
Jack, he was the only one I could get. He gets off over at the Paramount any time now, so it's too late to stop him. He's probably on his way over right now.
Is bourbon all right with you, fellas?
Fine with me.
John?
Yes, thanks.
Say when.
When?
Oh, I'll get it.
Oh, for Pete's sake, don't be so nervous. You'll give the whole thing away.
Nervous? Who's nervous?
In a moment, Act Two of Norman Krasna's comedy John Loves Mary, starring Van Johnson and Nina Foch. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
I hope you're enjoying this Norman Krasna comedy as much as I am. Of course, I can't help feeling sorry for John, who can't marry the girl he loves because he is already married to his best friend's fiancée. But if that sounds complicated, things are going to get even more hectic now. It's time to return to the apartment of Senator James McKinley in the St. Regis Hotel, New York City. Ex-Army Lieutenant O'Leary has just rung the doorbell. He is dressed not in the colorful uniform of a Paramount balcony major, which he usually wears, but in his old Army lieutenant's uniform. As he waits for the door to open, there is a pained expression of disapproval on his face. Disapproval, no doubt, of the masquerade in which he is about to take part. Our imaginary curtains part, and Act Two begins.
Probably your officer now. I'll get it.
Fred, O'Leary won't do. He doesn't even look like an officer.
Now, don't panic, kid. I tell you, I rehearsed him 10 times. His name's Lieutenant Leroy, and he knows exactly what to say.
Come in, Lieutenant.
Why, thank you, sir. My name is Lieutenant Leroy.
I'm Senator McKinley. How do you do?
How do you do, sir? I was told I could find Sergeant Lawrence here.
Yes, you found him. There he is.
Oh, how do you do, Sergeant?
How do you do, sir?
I didn't expect to find you in civilian clothes.
Oh, enlisted men have terminal leave now, sir. It's optional. Lieutenant, may I present Fred Taylor?
How do you do, Lieutenant?
How do you do?
Father, did someone... Oh, hello.
Lieutenant Leroy, Mrs. McKinley, and my daughter, Mary.
How do you do,
How do you
Lieutenant?
do?
I'm pleased to meet you.
Well, something wrong with our sergeant? You're not missing a tank or anything?
Oh, nothing like that, sir. Lawrence, I hope you won't take this as bad news, but there's a small job the Army needs you for. I'm afraid you're in for another 60 days.
Oh, no, that's not fair.
No, it isn't.
60 days.
Well, that's too bad.
Why do they need him?
We have a tremendous property disposal job to do. Captured enemy equipment, you know, the kind of thing Lawrence has been doing overseas, and, well, we're just short of trained men.
Well, he's been overseas for 3 years. He only came back yesterday.
Well, I'm in the same boat myself, ma'am. It's not my decision.
Where does he have to go?
Oh, this is a storage depot in Nevada.
Oh, that's too bad, Jack.
Well, I guess there's no use crying about it.
Well, I'm going too. We're being married Saturday.
Oh, I'm afraid that's impossible. He has to leave tonight.
I won't stand for it. It's just too much. He's not going.
Well, he has to, Mary. He's been ordered to go by the United States Army.
Well, they'll have to come and take him. And I'd like to see you try it, Lieutenant.
Oh, it's not me, ma'am.
You go back and tell them he absolutely refuses to consider it. And if they're sensible, they'll get somebody else.
It doesn't work that way, ma'am.
I apologize for my daughter, Lieutenant.
That's all right.
Don't feel badly, Mary.
It's only for 60 days, dear.
It's a lifetime. I've waited 3 years already. Every girl in my graduating class has been married. Some of them have been married twice.
I'll write you every day, and I'll call you regularly.
I'm tired of letters. I want you. I'll be 60 years old, and I'll still be waiting for you to marry me.
Now, you're proceeding from facts to emotion, Mary.
Father, you just going to stand there and not do anything?
Well, what do you expect me to do?
Well, you're a senator. Call up some of those fancy generals who are always hinting for promotions. They can get John off.
If there was one thing I thought I had accomplished in my lifetime, it was instilling in you the spirit of good citizenship. Now, would you like to see me use my high office to get John off?
You're not asking your father to do that, dear.
Yes, I am. The Germans are back to their wives and their sweethearts. The Italians are back. The Japs are back. The only woman in the whole world who's being kept apart from the man she loves is me. Who won the war, anyhow?
I'd better go after her.
Let her alone, John.
I'm sorry I had to bring the bad
Well,
news.
it's not your fault, Lieutenant.
James, do you think maybe you could call one of those nice generals?
Phyllis, you too.
I wouldn't like you to use influence, sir.
Thank you, at least.
All I know is if this happened to Senator Mulbender, he'd use influence.
Well, I'm not Senator Mulbender, thank God.
What about Judge Daly's son-in-law? He came back from Europe 10 minutes after they stopped shooting. And don't say he didn't use influence, because I heard him mention it to a thin general at Senator Allen's cocktail party. I heard every word.
Well, you can do something for others, but you can't interfere for yourself.
Oh, certainly, of course not. Your own family?
I've been criticizing the War Department for 2 years. I can't ask a favor. This is just another instance of their poor management.
That's no satisfaction to Mary.
Well, it is to me. Lieutenant, may I offer you a drink?
Oh, why, thank you,
Oh,
sir.
that's a good idea. Let's all have one.
Well, fellas, now that we're alone, hand it over.
And what over?
We owe him $50.
$50 for 10 minutes? That's a little more than they're paying at the Paramount, isn't it?
Oh, now stop squawking. If I'd have known it was a senator, you'd have paid more.
Here you are.
Hey, this is some dump.
You haven't much time to get back to the Paramount and change uniforms.
Oh, relax. And what are you two cooking up here?
Nothing. I explained it all to you.
Oh, you don't think I believe that cock and bull story about mining business in Nevada? What's wrong with the dame?
Nothing's wrong with her.
And why you're running?
He's got some business in Nevada, mining business.
Malarkey. However, being we're buddies, And for old time's sake, I'm willing to take care of her while you're out of town.
Don't you try and get in touch with her.
Hey, you're supposed to be going to Nevada, too. We paid you for that.
Relax, I'm just getting a rise out of you. I wouldn't take that dame on a platter. Not my type. Cold cuts.
I remember some of your types.
So do I. Those were dames. You didn't even have to know the language.
You take another drink, you're going to be stumbling all over that balcony.
I can hold it, and my men'll cover up for me. I'm not just an usher there, you know.
What are you?
Are you kidding? I'm the balcony major.
Major at the Paramount. We knew you'd make good.
They didn't treat you right in the Army. 3 years a lieutenant.
No, you're right, they didn't. There's no nonsense at the Paramount about whether or not you've been at West Point.
You're not going to be a major long.
I'm due for a boost.
Unless you come late.
Don't worry about it. C'est la guerre. It was a great little war.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Sarcastic, huh? Look, you two don't fool me, and you didn't fool me overseas.
Don't you think you better be getting along?
Yeah, I got a good mind to queer this deal.
There's no deal here.
I explained it all to you.
There's a fine American family, and she's a fine American girl.
Yes, and I'm marrying her.
Don't get so high and mighty with me. I watched you two operate overseas.
You watched us operate.
Remember Lilly?
Lilly?
Fred, you tried to cut me out with her, didn't you? All the time I was pitching, you were giving me the needle. I know about that.
You're wrong.
Oh, yeah? Look, I trailed you in Piccadilly for an hour one night and lost you in the blackout.
I never laid hands on Lily.
Well, the only reason you couldn't was because she wanted to get married and come to America. I got that line, only I got around it.
That's a lie.
How do you know?
I was with her every night.
Not after you went to France, you weren't. You went over 2 weeks ahead of me, you remember?
Why, you dirty, lying, no-good skunk.
Why are you so upset about Lily?
Now, who's upset about Lily?
Look, O'Leary, isn't it about time you went back to the Paramount?
The devil wants to hang around here anyway. I'm late as it is. Mickey Mouse is already on.
This way out.
Well, goodbye, dog faces. Take it easy. I've got sixpence. Jolly, jolly sixpence. I've got sixpence.
Well, buddy, I guess we got you off the hook that time.
Yeah, if O'Leary had had just one more drink, we'd have had to cart him out of here on a stretcher. Come in.
Pardon me, I'm looking for Sergeant Jack Lawrence.
I'm John Lawrence.
George Beechwood from the American Red Cross.
Yes, sir?
I've brought someone to see you. May I present Mrs. Lawrence?
Hello, Jack.
Lily.
Lily!
Hello, Fred.
Oh, please don't be embarrassed in front of me. I've witnessed these little reunions hundreds of times, and it's the pleasantest part of my duties.
Welcome to America, dear. I'm sorry you had to come here. I understood I was to go to the Red Cross.
I waited a whole day for you. I thought you'd run out on me.
When you didn't meet her, Mrs. Lawrence was quite upset.
Well, I thought they were sending me back to England.
We assured you we weren't.
I apologized to the gentleman.
She struck our Mr. Abernathy with a small suitcase.
I'm much obliged, Mr. Beechwood, to you and the Red Cross. Thank you.
All in the line of duty.
Thank you. You've been ever so kind.
You're quite welcome. And on behalf of the Red Cross, may I offer our best wishes and the hospitality of our country.
Well, thank you.
Well, goodbye and lots of luck.
Thanks again.
The Red Cross also maintains an information service for prospective mothers.
Well, we'll remember it. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
East side, west side. Golly. New York's just like it is in the cinema, isn't it?
Almost.
Oh, I'm so glad we're going to live in New York, Fred. I'm never going to leave it.
Except for the trip to Reno for the divorce, you know.
Can't we get the divorce in New York?
No.
But you'll love it in Reno.
There was a sailor on the Queen Elizabeth who told us girls we should never go west of New Jersey.
Good afternoon.
May I present Miss Herbish, Senator McKinley?
How do you do?
How do you do?
She's a friend of Fred's. She just came over from England. They were just leaving.
I've only been in America one day.
Really? How do you like it?
Oh, I love New York. I hope it's as nice out west,
Well, you're going out west?
where the deer and the antelope play, you know. Tell me, what's it like west of New Jersey?
Republican.
Fred, you two'd better hurry. You don't want to be late.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, Lily. Goodbye, Senator.
It was ever so nice meeting you. Ta-ta.
Goodbye. John,
Yes, sir.
you're perspiring again.
Yes, sir.
It's your nerves. You ought to take cold showers every morning.
Yes, sir. I'll do that starting tomorrow.
Right this way, General.
Here he is, General. General Biddle. May I present Sergeant Lawrence?
How do you do, Sergeant?
How do you do, sir?
Well, so you're the young man the Army has been persecuting, huh? Well, we'll soon see about that. Senator McKinley, this is a real pleasure. I've been trying to get an appointment with you for 6 months.
How are you, General?
Father, General Biddle is going to investigate John's case. He says it seems like undue hardship.
The phone hasn't rung, has it?
No.
The general has put a call into the Pentagon building.
Now, look here, General. I don't want anything done that smacks of favoritism.
Why, Senator, I wouldn't show this boy any more favoritism than I would expect you to show me.
The senator understands perfectly.
Hello? Yes, he's here. Your call, General.
Well, thank you. General Biddle speaking. Colonel McCoy, General Biddle. Colonel, I'm calling you from Senator McKinley's apartment. Senator McKinley. Yes, that's right. Well, what did you find out? What? Well, there's got to be a storage depot in Nevada. The sergeant I called you about is supposed to report there tonight. You're certain? Colonel, there'll be a staff meeting in my office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Between now and then, locate that depot.
What is it?
Missing something, General?
Well, we're reorganizing the department, Senator. There's a little confusion.
And you can't locate a whole storage depot. How many millions of dollars of taxpayers' money does an installation like that cost, General?
Do you mean to say that John still has to go because they just can't find a little piece of paper in Washington?
A little piece of paper, they can't find a whole depot.
But if the Army doesn't know where the depot is, how will John know where to go?
John, when you get to the depot, wire the War Department you found it.
We'll find it, Senator. Sergeant, I take it on myself to remove you from the roster.
Sir, I cannot accept favoritism. I'm going to Nevada. It's the only decent thing to do.
John!
Sergeant, you're quite right. But after all, it's only a storage depot, you know. You'll be packing crates, that's all.
Well, it's the principle of the thing that counts. You understand, don't you, Mary?
Don't you want to get married? Doesn't that mean anything to you?
It's my duty, Mary.
Duty. Who do you think you are, Nathan Hale?
I have to live with myself.
Well, live with yourself. You're not going to live with me. You don't want to marry me anyway. I've known it since the first 10 minutes you were home. You've been distracted and just plain bored.
Got a lot on my mind. Didn't we agree to get married?
You were trapped into it. Now you don't know how to get out of it.
That's not true.
You're afraid of my father.
I am not afraid of your father.
And you're embarrassed for me. Well, you needn't be.
This is only temporary, John.
I hope so. Well, I guess I better go for my railroad ticket.
Son, I'm sorry about all this. I want you to know that you have my admiration and sympathy. I hope that things work out happily for both you and Mary.
Thank you, sir. So do I.
Betty, is Mary in the lobby by any chance? No, not up here. I've been out all afternoon myself. You haven't seen her in the last 3 hours? Oh, never mind, Betty. She just came in. Mary, where have you been?
Downstairs in the bar.
Drinking?
Well, that's what the rest of them were doing.
Mary, this is only a lover's quarrel.
Mother, stop treating me as though I were a child.
Mary, I don't know what to say.
That's too bad, Mother dear, because I was hoping you did. I could use a long mother and daughter heart-to-heart talk right here about the facts of life and why a man would rather pack crates in Nevada than be with the girl he loves.
He loves you, Mary. He explained about the crates. I hope you won't make a hasty decision. You've been in love with John for a long time.
Not this John.
What do you mean, not this John?
This is not the one I sent overseas. He would have dragged me to Nevada, by my hair if necessary.
I know, dear. Oh, my. 3 years of writing letters and all those packages. What a waste.
Well, it was patriotic anyway.
How are you going to tell him?
I won't have to tell him. He'll tell me.
In my opinion, Mary. Oh, hello, John. Where have you been?
I had to get my railroad ticket and get back in a uniform.
What time are you leaving?
The train leaves at 9:30. I ought to be there 15 minutes earlier.
Well, we can have dinner here, and I'll take you to the station.
Oh, I'd rather you didn't, Mary. I mean, there'll be others there, a whole squad, and we'll have to fall in and all that. It's kind of embarrassing. You don't mind, do you, Mary?
Not at all.
Kissing at railroad stations, I always get a little self-conscious.
I like it.
Oh, you do? Well, we'll have to go down to Grand Central sometime.
Will you excuse me, John? I'd like to lie down.
Oh, sure. Don't you feel well?
I feel fine.
She's all right. Why is she lying down?
Well, I don't know. I just came back from the Paramount.
You went to the Paramount?
Yes, the senator wanted to see himself in the newsreel.
When you go to a movie, Mrs. McKinley, where do you sit? Upstairs or down?
We always sit upstairs. The senator likes to smoke.
You sat upstairs?
Yes. Why?
Nothing. I just think it's interesting where different people sit.
Oh, I wish we'd been in the orchestra. There was a drunkard in the balcony.
A drunkard?
He kept singing at the top of his lungs that he had jolly, jolly sixpence. I can't understand why the ushers didn't stop him.
I can't either. Did the senator do anything about it?
Oh, he'd left by then. He and General Biddle excused themselves halfway through the picture. I don't know why. I like Dorothy Lamour.
Hey, Jack.
Hey.
Can I speak to you a minute?
Sure, come on in.
I think you better come out here in the hall.
Oh, all right. Excuse me, Mrs. McKinley.
Certainly, John.
Well?
Where is she?
Who?
Lily. Isn't she here?
She's with you.
No, she isn't.
What did you do with her?
I was driving her around in a taxi showing her the city.
Did you explain about the baby?
Yeah, I did.
Well, what'd she say?
Plenty, but after a while she calmed down a little. She even suggested we drive over to the hospital and see my baby.
It's here?
A boy, 7 pounds, 6 ounces.
Well, what about Lily?
I left her in the cab, told her to wait. I was sure she'd be there when I came out. There was $8 on the meter.
She tricked you. She didn't want to go to Reno. She's hiding somewhere.
Hiding?
What am I going to do about the divorce? If you can't find your wife, you have to wait 7 years.
Oh, we'll find her sometime before that.
You saved my life, and now you've ruined it. We're even.
Oh, don't say that.
I don't owe you a thing. Not a thing.
I'm naming my kid after you. I'm going to call him John Harold Taylor.
He hasn't got a chance.
Oh, look, remember what we've been through together? When you were wounded, I carried you in my arms like a baby.
You should have let me stay there.
I carried you 200 yards.
It wasn't 100, nearer 75.
It was at least 200. Maybe I should have left you there.
I'm sorry, Fred. What did Lily say when you left her in the taxi? Did she give any hint where she'd go?
Hint? I don't think so.
What was the last thing she said?
Goodbye.
Fred, we've got to find her. Think, man. Where could she be?
Oh.
What is it?
I went in the 76th Street side of the hospital, and I came out of the 77th. I was so excited about my baby, I didn't know where I was.
She may still be sitting in that cab.
Knowing Lily, I doubt it.
Well, it's worth a try. Come on, we've got to find her.
Hello.
James, where have you been? And General Biddle, what's happened to you? Have you had an accident?
I was attacked by a drunken usher in the men's room of the Paramount Theater.
No.
He broke my glasses. Look at this hat.
Why did he do it?
I don't know why. He asked me whether I'd been to West Point, and I said I had. He seemed pleasant enough. I thought he was going to ask me about the football team. That's what they usually ask. And then he jumped on me.
For heaven's sake. I hope you struck him back.
Well, unfortunately, there's an article of war entitled Conduct Unbecoming an Officer. I'm not supposed to strike anybody back.
Not even in self-defense?
An officer's supposed to be able to reason with anybody.
Why didn't you strike him, James? You're not in uniform.
Well, I wasn't there. I was waiting for him in the lobby. Oh, I wanted to go back. He wouldn't.
I could see the newspapers. General Biddle in brawl in men's room of Paramount Theater. No, thank you. They can fire generals.
Well, I gave the manager a talking to. They haven't heard the end of this.
I should hope not.
Well, never mind. Oh, Mary, the mayor of New York will be here in 20 minutes. And half an hour from now, you're going to be a married woman.
Married? In half an hour?
You can thank General Biddle.
But what about having to wait 3 days?
That's a very good question. Who has to wait 3 days? Civilians. A soldier can be married in 1 day. And here's the permission. All signed, all sealed, all official.
Well, Mary, you might thank the gentleman.
Thank you.
That's not very enthusiastic. I thought you'd have had your arms around him by now.
I had to sign an awful lot of papers.
I appreciate what you've done, General Biddle, but...
But what?
Well, I don't care to get married today, Father.
You don't care to get married today. What do you think you're doing, buying a hat?
She doesn't care to, James, that's all.
That couldn't be all. She's been crying into her pillow for 3 years.
John doesn't love her.
He doesn't, Dad.
Oh, did he tell you that?
He didn't have to.
Well, then how do you know?
I know. I sensed it yesterday. I'm sure of it today.
Well, now, it seems to me, Mary, you're imagining things. But we'll soon find out. He won't marry you if he doesn't love you. Let's see if he backs out.
I'm not going to find out that way. It'd be too humiliating.
You'll have to know sooner or later.
Not that way. Let him go to Nevada. I'll soon get a letter that he's changed his mind.
You're wrong, Mary.
I can't help it.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
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 Well, what's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing's the matter.
You feel better, Mary?
I'm all right.
You look all right. Mary, we've got 4 hours yet to train time. Would you care to go someplace for a while?
No, thank you.
We could walk in the park. It's very nice out.
I don't think so.
This is a nice time of the year for Nevada.
Yes, sir. I wish I didn't have to leave, Mary.
If you feel you ought to go, you're doing the right thing.
I do, Mary.
I'd feel the same way in his shoes.
You know, this may be working out for the best. We can have a real wedding ceremony when you come back, John, as long as we have time to prepare for it. We'd make Mrs. McKinley very happy.
Yes, we could. I wouldn't mind a big wedding if it suits Mary.
Well, does it suit you, Mary? What do you say?
Dad, you said you had a surprise for us. What is it?
Surprise?
Oh, he wouldn't tell it to me. He was waiting for you to come back. What is it, Dad?
John, a soldier can be married in 1 day with Army permission, and General Biddle's arranged it. What do you think of that?
Really?
Nothing to it. I only had to sign a couple of papers.
Mary'll be here any minute. You and Mary can get married, jump in our car, and off you go to Nevada on your honeymoon.
You're allowed 5 days travel time. We've even figured out the hotels you can stop at on the way.
You can thank General Biddle.
Thank you, sir.
I guess you better pack, Mary. You haven't much time.
It won't take me long.
John, if something about the arrangement doesn't suit you, feel free to mention it. It's your marriage.
I was only looking at it from Mary's angle. Living out there in some room and my coming in only once a week.
Mary doesn't seem to be objecting.
Mary, if you want a big wedding, and Mother does, well, maybe the best thing would be to wait till I come back.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. I was mistaken.
That's all right, Dad. I guess I was mistaken, too. Well, John? Or is it Sergeant Lawrence? I guess the quicker the goodbyes, the less embarrassment, so... If you don't mind, good day. It was nice knowing you, I think. It was nice knowing you, too, Fred.
I'm not going out of here, Mary.
I'll thank you to leave, young man.
No matter how this looks to you, you'll have to take my word for it. I do love you.
If you don't leave immediately, I'll be obliged to use force, which I will do gladly.
John, would you do me this one last courtesy? Please leave.
Fred!
Lily!
Fred, where did you go off to? I've been riding around in a taxi for hours. The cabbie wants me to pay him $14. Ooh, £7. He's downstairs in the lobby waiting.
I'll go right down.
Oh, how do you do, Senator?
How do you do?
Oh, look, everybody, I'd like you to meet Lily. Lily's a friend of mine from Europe that we used to know.
No, she's not a friend of his. Let me tell you who she is. She's my wife, Mrs. Lawrence. That's who she is.
Your wife?
Yes, my wife. I married her for Fred, to get her to America. He saved my life, and I was going to do him a favor. Was that so terrible? I couldn't help it if he had a baby.
I couldn't help it either.
I only started with one little lie, but with your help, Senator, the thing's grown and grown with mayors and generals and Pentagon buildings. And I don't know where it'll stop. It's even gotten to where Mary doesn't believe I love her. I do love you, Mary. I've never stopped loving you for one single minute. I know this is asking a great deal, but will you come to Reno with this girl and me, just the three of us, while we get our divorce? Will you please, Mary?
Oh, I do hope you believe he's telling the truth. He only married me to bring me to Fred.
I believe you.
If there's been any hanky-panky between your John and me, may I drop dead on this very spot.
What do you say, Mary?
I'll go to Reno with you, John. With both of you.
Mary.
I'll go any place with you. To the ends of the world.
Why didn't you explain this to me yesterday, John?
I couldn't.
He didn't have his trousers on, Father.
Oh, don't take it that way, Lily.
I'm not crying because I'm unhappy. I like to see people in love. Maybe it's because I haven't had much luck in love myself. Fred here, and then there was my first husband. He died. He was an American, too.
Well, I didn't know you were married before.
Well, you knew him. He was in your company. Lieutenant Victor O'Leary.
What? O'Leary? Oh, no.
As soon as he got a job, he was going to send for me. And then I got a lovely letter from his mother telling me he passed away. Double pneumonia. And his dying words were, send my love to Lily and tell her I'll see her up there.
Up there, in the balcony, he must have meant. Lily, would it cheer you up to see a movie? For instance, Blue Moon with Dorothy Lamour?
Oh, she's one of my favorites.
Fred, take Lily down to the Paramount.
You bet I will. And I'm going to introduce her to a friend of mine, the Balcony Major. Folks, there's going to be a peach of a show at the Paramount today.
Goodbye, Lily. Have a good life.
Thanks ever so. You know, America's just the way it is in the cinema. Never a dull moment.
You have just heard the Best Plays production of John Loves Mary by Norman Krasna, starring Van Johnson and Nina Foch. And here again is your host, drama critic John Chapman, with a closing word.
You understand now, don't you, how easy it is to write a best play? All you have to do is to pick two simple names and then think of something funny. Then, when your play is done, all you need is a few good actors. But they happen to be hard to find. This evening, we have been lucky in having Miss Foch as Mary and Mr. Johnson as John. We have had Van Johnson on a 1-hour loan-out from his regular employers, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Pictures. MGM, by the way, seems to have got along well even without Johnson for the period of this broadcast. It has a big new screen hit about the first atom bomb attack, titled Above and Beyond. Thanks, Miss Foch, Mr. Johnson, and company. And I'd like to go on now with some news about next week's best play. It will be one that I could call distinguished, The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams. And in it will be a very interesting small cast. We'll be having Evelyn Varden in the role of the mother and MacDonald Carey as the son. And in the part of the shy daughter who collects glass animals, there will be the much-admired brand-new star of the Broadway stage, Geraldine Page. Less than a month ago, Miss Page, unknown, made her first Broadway appearance in a comedy titled Midsummer. That night, the critics went to work on her. And when she woke up next day, she found she was the most highly praised actress of the theater season. I'm looking forward to this new Best Plays production of The Glass Menagerie. This is Chapman saying good night until then.
Tonight's play, John Loves Mary, by Norman Krasna, was transcribed and adapted for radio by Earl Hamner. Van Johnson was John, and Nina Foch recreated her original Broadway role as Mary. The part of Fred Taylor was played by Lawson Zerby. General Harwood Biddle was played by Wendell Holmes, and Phyllis McKinley by Vera Allen. Bill Lipton played Lieutenant O'Leary. Joseph Boland was George Beechwood. Kathleen Cordell was Lilly Herbish, and Louis Van Rooten was Senator James McKinley. Best Plays is an NBC production supervised by William Welch and directed by Edward King. Your announcer is Fred Collins. The NBC production staff on Best Plays would like to thank our listeners across the country who have been writing us. Your appreciation and constructive critiques makes us feel that our idea to bring the adult theater of Broadway to your homes is worthwhile. All of us, the writers, editor, director, actors, and technicians, feel that this extension of the vitality and intelligence of the living theater into our great mass communication medium, radio, makes available to all of you an entertainment otherwise limited to those whose purse and geographic situation make actual theater attendance possible.